July 29th, the day it became very clear the German invaders were battling their American foes in vain. Accepting the futility of being surrounded at Rancé, German officers chose to regroup, try breaking free to the south, and salvage what few units remained. Fully aware of the advantageous battlefield situation, the American Air Force conducted crushing raids around Rancé throughout the 29th, succeeding at taking out an impressive 350-plus number of tanks and armored vehicles. Amongst all that devastation, though, the Germans still managed to reform into several armored columns and were ready for a daring, desperate escape attempt from the Rancé pocket come nightfall. For the 2nd Armored Division commanders, July 29th was also a day of consolidating their defensive lines, stretching from Notre-Dame-de-Sennelay through Saint-Denis-le-Gast and up to Langrand in the west. Refreshed and ready to deny passage to any fleeing Germans by late that evening, U.S. forces were fully committed to what would result in the climactic conclusion of Operation Cobra.
Drop your spades and take a knee, men. I've got good news and bad news. Let's start with the good news. We've successfully managed to cut off the German 2nd Panzer Division to our north at Rancé. The bad news? We're about all that's standing between them and their buddies in the south. They're desperate, and there's no indication they want to surrender, so it's not a question of if, but when. So should they choose to attempt a breach, they're going to have to go through our positions. Now, we haven't had much time to dig in, but we've established defensive lines north of Saint-Denis-le-Gast. These defensive lines extend to our east, meeting with Combat Command A, call sign Pyramid at Hambia, and also west to Langrand, where we've only just recently linked up with men from the 4th Armored, call sign Olympic. Gentlemen, our orders are simple. Prevent all enemy vehicles and armor from crossing our lines and escaping south. Our units are tasked with holding phase line Cedar, just north of Saint-Denis-le-Gast. Behind phase line Cedar lies phase line Birch. Behind phase line Birch is our 3rd and final line of defense, phase line Aspen. Let me be clear. It is absolutely vital we maintain a consistent line with our buddies to the east and west. Therefore, in the event of an enemy breakthrough, we will be ordered to fall back to our secondary defenses at phase line Birch. Or, if the shit really starts hitting the fan, back to the Alamo at phase line Aspen. I'll put it this way. If the Krauts find a way to open up a gap anywhere along the line, the entire force will need to plug the leak and stay shoulder to shoulder. So don't get caught with your pants down. Fall back when ordered, or you'll be SOL. Left to face the next wave all on your lonesome. Now, Charlie holds the front line. They can't be everywhere at once, so they'll have to choose where to concentrate their defenses. Baker is likewise assigned to choose a strong point to defend. After establishing ambush positions, they can lay anti-tank mines to prevent enemy armor from rushing through. Able and Easy have their medium tank and tank destroyer, respectively, stationed just behind the lines. They should split up and choose which of the main roads to watch for enemy vehicles and armor. Dog will take a half-track and patrol across the entire phase line to locate priority targets for close air support. They will have the freedom to choose where to start hunting. But once we start receiving contact, they should be prepared to respond quickly and go where needed. If Dog can give us an early warning of what's to come, we'll have a better chance of successfully preparing our defensive lines. Last but not least, Fox will serve as our AT gun crew to cover key ambush points along the roads leading to the town. Their job is the same as Able and Easy. Intercept every escaping German vehicle. You're assigned to Able. Choose your starting position. All right, men, you have your orders. Now shake a leg. Get to your positions and dig in. But pay attention to the radio. If orders to fall back come down through the net, don't dilly-dally. Remember, every Kraut we let through lives to fight another day. I've been on the horn all afternoon with the brass, trying to barter my prize Luger for reinforcements that are quickly being diverted to press the attack elsewhere. I promise I'll fight tooth and nail to get more supplies and reinforcements on the field to back us up. I must admit, asking for 30 to 45 minutes against a force roughly twice our size without backup is a tall order. But if our defenses hold for long enough, the Germans will be trapped and obliterated by our artillery and bombers. I know I've asked a lot of you these past few days, and I'm sure you're all worn pretty thin. Relief is on the way. I expect you all to work as a team, communicate, and move your asses when ordered. That's the only way we make it through this in one piece. Good luck out there.
On July 29th, right before midnight, a German column the size of an infantry company approached and attacked U.S. defenses south of Saint-Denis-le-Gast. With the use of flares, the Germans brought down rocket and machine gun fire to destroy American outposts. Approximately 1 hour later, with heavy fighting still going on to the south, the next two enemy columns, consisting of more than 600 men and supported by roughly 90 armored vehicles and tanks, attacked U.S. positions situated to the north of Saint-Denis-le-Gast, attempting to reunite with their units in the south. The Germans managed to break the American outpost lines and pushed towards the positions of the 67th Armored Regiment, where one Mark V tank rushed through hedgerows, destroying one half-track and dealing heavy damage to defenders. Despite the chaotic situation on the battlefield, U.S. forces were able to stop most of the attackers in man-to-man battle. Nevertheless, a small German unit of 11 vehicles and almost 100 troops managed to slip through the lines, rush through Saint-Denis-le-Gast, and then continue westward. At 02:15 hours, this column reached the bivouac area of the 78th Armored Field Artillery Battalion, just 1 mile east of Longren. American officers taunted the first truck of the column in German, and when they received the answer, "Was ist?" U.S. machine guns and howitzers opened fire. At an average range of 50 to 175 yards, the enemy had no chance. This engagement led to 205 captured and 90 killed German soldiers. During the night from the 29th to the 30th of July, the 2nd Armored Division succeeded in preventing German units trapped in the pocket around Rancy from crossing their lines at multiple points, notably in Saint-Denis-le-Gast and Cambrai, where Germans took tremendous losses. In spite of that, one Mark IV tank battalion, with sizable contingents of infantry, managed to flee the region, escaping towards German positions in the south. Despite this minor success, in the morning of July 30th, remaining Germans in Rancy were left with no hope, and that day, the area was cleared and the town liberated. During that horrific night of July 29th, more than 1,500 Germans lost their lives and 4,000 were taken as prisoners. American forces suffered 100 dead and 300 wounded soldiers. At the outset of Operation Cobra, Allied forces had struggled to advance inland. While months had been spent preparing and storming the beaches, hard lessons yet awaited the soldiers advancing into the hedgerows beyond. With German defenses strengthening and reinforcements en route from central France, the Allies were in desperate need of a breakout. Operation Cobra achieved that objective before the end of July 1944, and the 2nd Armored Division's 2 combat commands were instrumental in bringing about this much-needed victory. The hard-fought clearing of the Rancy pocket on July 29th forced thousands of German soldiers to surrender. In the following days, the Allies managed to free Avranches, thrusting open the gate into Brittany after covering nearly as much ground as had been captured since the campaign began on D-Day. The area surrounding Saint-Lô would be fully liberated shortly thereafter. The result of Operation Cobra freed Allied forces from being bogged down with firefights in the maze-like bocage to press on into the Brittany Peninsula and the vital ports beyond. Owing in large part to the brave actions of everyday soldiers, superior supply, improved logistics, and undisputed control of the skies, the American First Army exploited an enemy in disarray, prioritizing the taking of key objectives in what would later become textbook armored maneuvers. The Germans, who had dominated France for 4 brutal years, were stunned and reeling from this chain of defeats in Normandy. Nevertheless, they were ordered by the Führer himself to attempt a futile counterattack at Mortain. The results were disastrous for the Germans, forcing them into an even hastier retreat. With cunning flanking maneuvers by the Americans from the south and the British, Canadians, and Polish pushing on from Caen, the Allies encircled 2 entire divisions of German Western Army Group B. These events, becoming known as the Falaise Pocket, crippled the German fighting spirit and were among the most decisive moments in the battle for France. Paris would ultimately be liberated by the end of August, along with the creation of a new southern front. The routed German Western Army left Hitler without sufficient forces to maintain the occupation. The Nazis were out of France by the end of 1944. But victory came at a heavy cost. And many civilians were tragically caught in the crossfire. The world was engulfed in conflict. The scope of destruction was unimaginable. We must always remember what was lost by so many and the solemn lessons of history. For those who forget the past will bear the heaviest risk, repeating it.